Well, hello everybody, and welcome along to our live and exclusive coverage of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship qualifying session for the Sahlen's 6 hours of the Glen in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. I'm John Hindhoff. A new for 2021 system for qualifying for GT Daytona. Shea Adam is with us as our VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock reporter. Hello. So this first session of 15 minutes about to get underway. Jeremy Shaw, it's been a staple of IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship that we have phenomenally close qualifying and racing in GT Daytona. I expect nothing different today, do you?
I don't. No, and we've got tight championship battles in the overall GTD championship. Bill Arbel and Robbie Foley lead by just 7 points over Roman DeAndres and Ross Gunn, and 7 points. That's a new system, which if you compare it to last year, it'd be basically 0.7 of a point, so it couldn't get much closer between those two. And in the Michelin Endurance Cup, just a 1 point lead for the FAF Motorsports trio, Zach Robichon, Lawrence Vantour and Lars Kern, over Mauro Engel, who has driven a couple of different cars this season in the Michelin Endurance Cup and is going to be in the number 75 Sun Energy 1 Mercedes this weekend. In third place, just 1 point behind them in the Endurance Cup, are the number 16 trio of Patrick Long, Jan Halen and Trent Hidman, so super tight. Of course, this session here is just for, as Shea was saying, this is just for the grid positions, I think, isn't it, for Sunday. The points will be awarded in the next session, just to complicate matters.
Correct. Sorry, trying to do about a million things at once here, and probably failing on all of them. So the 15 minutes is underway. The quickfire sessions we've become used to over the last decade and more now, coming from the old LMS days. when the sessions were tidied up and shortened up. I still kind of don't understand series that have long qualifying sessions where people only potter out in the last 5 minutes and leave nothing on the track for the rest of it. This is how it should be for the most part. The sessions that we'll be talking to you about this afternoon will have people going out at the start, getting their Michelin tyres up to temperature and pressure. That varies differently from class to class and sometimes from car to car. And then getting quicker and quicker, Jeremy, as the fuel burns off, which is exactly what I want to see in a qualifying session.
Yeah, absolutely right. And interestingly, looking at the Porsche Carrera Cup North America, which of course is new this season, although the rules have pretty much, most of them have been carried over from the old GT3 Cup, they have a half-hour qualifying session, and the best lap for each car determines the starting position for the first race. The second best lap for each car determines the starting position for the second race. However, particularly here at Watkins Glen, where the tyre drop-off after the first lap or two is fairly substantial, what pretty much all the teams did this weekend in the PCC NA, presented by the Cayman Islands, was go out first of all on one brand new set of tyres, then come in the pits, sit for 10 minutes or more, and then go out again on the second set of tyres and lay down another lap. So, which kind of defeats the object in my point, in my viewpoint. So, yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't necessarily like the two different qualifying sessions for GTD, but hey, it is what it is. And look, GTD sessions that you were alluding to there, they're always exciting. So to have two different sessions with two different drivers at the wheel of these super GT3 spec cars, who could complain at that?
Yeah, it's a skill, there's no doubt about it, switching the tyres on and getting the very best of the performance from any manufacturer of tyres, all Michelin here, of course, in IMSA. It is a skill. It's one I have to confess that I've never been able to get my head around in my very limited amount of qualifying and racing. My fastest lap is normally my last lap, so this sort of thing where you go out for 15 minutes and hopefully get quicker and quicker, that's far more up my alley than the head down, no nonsense, mindless boogie of having to do people talking about prep laps and regen laps and all that stuff. Oh dear. We're old school, Jeremy. Just get out there and run it till it runs dry. Absolutely. All the cars have gone out. Carl Kirkwood, the last one to go out. His teammate, the number 12, that is the RCF Lexus, just goes across the line now to start the first flying lap.
I have to agree with you, John. I think, generally speaking, it's my in-lap the quickest.
Frank Montecalvo then.
But look, by then, the fuel is burning off, so,
Hello to you all if you are just joining us for this qualifying session. So each of the classes will go out. We split them up between the GTDs, the GT Le Mans, because that's generally speaking a full pro of the GT Le Mans. GT IMSA Pro and AM drivers in there. The prototypes will come later on, so plenty to watch here. It's not single car qualifying, but with the amount of cars we've got and the amount of real estate we've got here at Watkins Glen, there should be nobody complaining about not getting a clear lap. Still waiting for the first representative ones to come in at the moment. In the timing, on the timing screens, we're under 10 minutes to go. It is a relatively long lap here, and Shea, I said we shouldn't have anybody complaining about traffic, but racing drivers, they'll have a bit of a whine about anything, won't they?
Oh, totally. And the magnets that they put in the cars to try and keep them clumped together, that doesn't help either.
That's very true.
But as far as this track goes, to put it into perspective, 3.4 miles. The Daytona circuit that we run for the Rolex 24 Hours is 3.56. So that's only a little over a tenth longer of a track. But with the banking, there's a lot more opportunity for the faster cars to get past. Right now, we're in a situation where we have 14 cars out on track for this first GTD qualifying session for the positions. When we go out for points, the GTLM cars will be out there too. That will be 19 cars, each trying to find their own little bit of real estate. And when you divide 3.4 over 19, I'm not very good at math, but I know that's not a lot of space if they're all even.
Okie dokie then. It's funny. We had Bruce Jones and Peter Snowden with 130 cars in the 4-hour race at the Nürburgring round 4 this morning. Okay, a lot more real estate, but we can have up to 170 on that circuit, and yet on 8 miles of Le Mans we have 60. I always think there's room for a few more. 8 minutes to go as we are in qualifying for GT Daytona to set the grid, and to the top, Robbie Foley for Turner Motorsport, a car that's had a bit of TLC this weekend, Jeremy Shaw, but a 1:46.688. How does that stack up in the big scheme of things?
No, a fair way to go yet. The fastest time was set to this morning, right at the very beginning of the day, by Carl Kirkwood in the Lexus 14, a 1:45.156. That remains the best lap of the weekend. Second fastest was Robbie Foley, in fact, this morning at a 1:45.8. So a pretty big advantage that Kirkwood had this morning. We'll see whether he can replicate that when it matters in qualifying right now to determine the positions for tomorrow's Sahlen 6 Hours of the Glen. Robbie Foley quicker, to the moment goes quicker again. It's up at 46.3. So we're getting closer to his best lap time from this morning.
Vassar Sullivan, number 12. Frank Montecalvo coming through, has completed another lap, and he's done the 46.2. Then Foley, then Macquarie, car bomb with Peregrine Racing, lost their race victory at Detroit Belle Isle. Pit stop infraction, basically a timing issue with their pit stop, which was, now I can't remember whether it was Shea or Jeremy that was mentioning this, all down to the car filling on the wrong side, Jeremy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. They realised after the team only made its debut, very impressive debut at Mid-Ohio, and after that race they knew that their minimum refueling time was pretty marginal. So they looked into it, figured out what the problem was, made the change to the refueling system. But for Detroit, the refueling at Mid-Ohio was on the right side of the car. In Detroit, it was on the other side of the car. The other way around. It was the left side at Mid-Ohio, the right side at Detroit, and they hadn't kind of taken that into effect, so they were refueled a little bit more quickly than they should have been. But again, that's just one of the problems for a kind of a new team. But it's certainly great to see Tyler Macquarie making his IMSA WeatherTech Championship debut this weekend with this team. He was a regular, of course, with Jeff Westphal. They won the Michelin Pilot Challenge a couple of years ago, and now finally Tyler Macquarie has an opportunity to step up onto the big stage here, along with Richard Highstand and Jeff Westphal, who are going to be the regular drivers in this car barn with Peregrine Racing Audi for the rest of the season. Their primary focus is on the GTD Sprint Cup, which this is not around, but next week here at Watkins Glen is. So that is why they are here this weekend, to get some experience, more experience at this racetrack, to prepare for next week, but also for the future, because this team has big ambitions of racing in the GTD Championship overall, the full championship, in years to come. Wow, talking of Audis, there's a great lap from young Jaden Conrad in the NTE Sport Audi. He goes fast as a 1:45.957 for the young Californian. Very impressive by him, 22 years of age from Fremont in California. That's a great run, fastest overall, quicker than Carl Kirkwood, who's just went 0.21 behind him. In fact, we've got 4 cars now, John, within 1/10 of a second.
And this is setting the grid for the race tomorrow, the Sahlen 6 Hours of the Glen, exclusively live on IMSA Radio around the world and in North America as well. It's a busy sports day for our colleagues at NBC SN with Cup Race and the second stage of the Tour de France. So if you're in the US and you want to catch some visuals, set your DVR for midnight for the highlight show, midnight Eastern on Sunday night into Monday morning. Check your local listings for details, always say that, of course, but you can hear the full 6 hours live, including, excluding any interruptions, fully live and uninterrupted with Shea, Jeremy and me. We'll have our Michelin countdown to green before it and Michelin post-race tech after it, so plenty to keep you interested. And if you're in the US and suitably equipped, you'll find us tomorrow as well for the race for the Sahlen 6 hours at the Glen on XM 202. Those of you outside the States, usual thing, go to imsaradio.com, click the live video button, and we have full live commentary and the visuals for you, as well as we have had for some time. So, coming down to the last 2.5 minutes, NTE Sport lead it, the Audi, and looking at the split times, Kyle Kirkwood has been putting in some very good times indeed in the Vassar Sullivan number 14. He was the last one to leave the pits. Across the line for the 42 red, white and blue Audi. Kirkwood's already gone through and heads up the hill through the S's. Absolutely flat through the second and third parts of the S's there. These GT Daytona cars, yes, they are based on street cars, but they are very sophisticated racing machines, Jeremy, with actually, although they're a GT car, they are still quite aero dependent, so they do get a bit of downforce from the bodywork and the aero accoutrements.
They do, and they're pretty sophisticated race car these days for the kind of the lowest rung on the ladder in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. These are super race cars, and it's just fabulous to see how close it is right now. A moment ago, before Kyle Kirkwood just put this lap in at a 1:45.7, the top four were separated by less than 1/10 of a second. That's amazing. Not only that, with four different manufacturers. Right now, we've got Lexus, Porsche, Audi, Mercedes, and BMW, the top five. And right now they're separated by just over 3/10 on a 3.4 mile circuit. That's pretty darn close. Good luck there by Kirkwood. Also luck by Trent Hidman, who just nips ahead of Jaden Conwright, pushes him down to third by 0.004 of a second. It's still super tight, and we've still got plenty of time to go in this session. No, we haven't got. Excuse me, 25 seconds ago. This will be the last lap now.
That's plenty of time, as long as you get across the line, isn't it? That's the thing. So, looks like the 14 and Kyle Kirkwood is out of it. The 45.5, yeah, he's eased off, although he did get through. Could have started another lap, Jeremy.
He did start another lap, but he'd already improved on that previous lap, and I think he reckons that's about the best he can do. 45.5 then for Kyle Kirkwood. Conditions, it's a little bit warmer this afternoon than it was this morning when he had perfect conditions to turn that 1:45.1. But still, Kyle Kirkwood would be absolutely thrilled if he can hold off now with still a couple of cars out there. Jaden Conrad has come into the pits. Trent Hidman has stayed out in kind of the 16, the Wright Motorsports Porsche, but I don't think he's on a better. No, he's not on a better lap now. So it looks like potentially Kyle Kirkwood will score his first pole position in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. This will be his 5th start at this level.
IMSA Radio, if you want to get in touch with us, the checkered flag out, just waiting for the last laps to come through. I don't think there's going to be any improvements. 39 turned the checkered flag. Yes, it did. Tyler McQuarrie in the car bomb at Peregrine, so they're going to be 7. So it will be Vassar Sullivan, the Lexus RCF GT3 on pole position. Porsche on the outside of the front row for Wright Motorsports, the 16. then the Audi, the number 42 NTE Sport Audi R8 GT3, then the Mercedes AMG GT3 for Allegra, Daniel Moret doing the time in fourth, that's the 28. Third row, BMW on the inside for Turner Motorsport, the 96. So that, I reckon, Jeremy, is 5 manufacturers in the top 5, and the first repeat we have is Frankie Montecalvo in 6th position, and those top 6 separated by, what, 3/4 of a second?
Yeah, brilliant. And, it was a really good last lap there from Kirkwood to up the game even more. That 45.5, that put him 3/10 ahead of Trent Hinman in second place. From second down to 7th, Tyler McQuarrie is just around about 4/10 of a second. So it is super, super tight.
It's Jeremy Shaw, along with me, John Hindorf, in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre, as we'll wait for the second part of qualifying to go out. So what we have had now is the grid set, subject to post-qualifying technical inspection, of course. So it is all still a bit provisional at the moment. IMSA.com for all the official news from the championship. So now we have to wait a wee while before we set the next drivers out. So just waiting in the afternoon sunshine. Waiting for the engines to refire. I see the 2 Corvettes pit out that are pointing towards the RFID readers for the Michelin tyres. All of the Michelin tyres are smart tyres in so many ways, but they have an RFID chip implanted in them so that Michelin, the teams, and of course IMSA can check to make sure that none of the tyre allocations are being broken out of. Looks like a new set of tyres for most of the cars who've just been out. The GT Le Mans cars will join in next time around. New set of brand new sticker Michelins going on to the number 14 Lexus, which Aaron Tielitz will jump into now. So a change of driver here, Shea. How many of these guys have got, remind me, how many of these cars have got 3 drivers, so have got actually a choice to make?
All of them.
All of them, right, okay.
All of them. GTD, right. You may not run 2 drivers. There are...
Session if you want to. But it felt like that 3 was like a good one, you know? Okay. Yeah, I was going to do that for the race. What happened with the ABS?
Team USA scholarship without perhaps having had any open wheel experience before you see them and try them out?
Yeah, there's been a few over the years, but I mean, right now the scholarship it's sort of aimed at, at giving drivers an opportunity to go race in England in Formula Ford cars. But I mean, the vast majority of drivers who are at the top level of sports car racing initially started off in some form of open wheel racing. So it's still relevant. But yes, there are drivers that have come into the scholarship without an open wheel background, but it's awfully difficult for them to, if they haven't got an open wheel background, to go over to England and really compete at the front in something like the Formula Ford Festival, which is super competitive. But I always recommend drivers starting out to get a bit of a background in open wheel, because at the junior levels, it is a lot more affordable than pretty much anything, even in the sports car ranks. Okay, MX5 Cup. Well, MX5 Cup is pretty expensive, in actual fact, but the initial levels, Spec Miata or something like that, is certainly a good foray for young drivers who want to just go the sports car route. But like I say, most of the top guys start off in open wheel in some way, shape, or form. So there's no harm in doing that.
Still waiting for the second part of this qualifying to get underway. Drivers been installed and just trying to work out when we're going to go. We've got a couple of minutes to go actually before this. Shay, have you got the qualifiers, please, for the points part of the GT Daytona? And it is full qualifying, a single qualifying session for the 5 GT Le Mans cars.
Yep, they do points and position at the same time for GTLM. So I'll tell you the ones that I know for sure. Since the camera's on the number one, let's start with the number one. That is Brian Sellers, who is going out for points for this qualifying session. For the number 9, Pfaff Motorsports Porsche, that is Lawrence Vantor. And I'll give you all the Porsches together because they were kind enough to tweet out who would be doing the points for the this session. So many thanks to them. Lawrence Vantor in the number 9. It is Patrick Wong in the number 16, Wright Motorsport Porsche. And then for the number 88, Catherine Legg for Team Hardpoint EBM. So those are the 3 Porsche runners. I noticed Jack Hawksworth's helmet in the 14 Vassar Sullivan Lexus. That green checkerboard pattern on the side of it gives him away very clearly. Ross Gunn, another one of those guys with very distinct helmets, in the number 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin race winner last time out. He took over for team principal Ian James. It is Billy Johnson, who was waving furiously. No, that's not Ross Gunn. That is DeAngelis Roman, excuse me, with the gold helmet instead of the bright yellow helmet. Maybe they were doing driver change practice. I definitely thought I saw Ross standing over there. Billy Johnson was waving furiously at the camera behind the wheel of the number 28 Allegra Motorsport Mercedes. I saw Jeff Westphal getting into the 39 Audi. That is for Carbons. That's going to be a fun one. Going with a bit of strategy, the car that was super, that is not Jeff Westphal, that is Richard Highstand. There we go again. Drivers confusing me up and down this pit lane. We've got strategy taking place for one of the fastest cars in that position qualifying session. It is now a track time experience. Don Yount is going out for the 42. He is one of the drivers who does have a win in the category in which he's racing this weekend, having won the race a few years ago with Marcus Peltola and was it Cameron Lawrence who was with him? No, can't remember now at this point. Sorry. Andy Lally is in the 44 Acura and in the 2 Corvettes, because Ryan Smith did let me know. It is Antonio Garcia, the King of Spain, and Tommy Milner in the 4 Corvette. That's the silver one. And just to let you guys know, we have had a lot of qualifying sessions between Sebring, Mid-Ohio, and Belle Isle. Not one repeat pole sitter in any of those categories. So let's see if we can keep that streak alive.
So 15 minutes on the clock and counting down. So the GT Le Mans cars have whisked out early onto the circuit in the afternoon sunshine and heading round. What we've seen in the past, of course, and we haven't got a unique situation here, Jeremy. We should remind everybody, whether they're here at the track or further afield watching on IMSARadio.com. I know that sounds odd, watching on IMSARadio.com, but we have got a live video feed which is unblocked and free to the world, whether you're in the US or further afield. A slightly different situation in GT Le Mans from the other categories with regard to the IMSA regulations and the Michelin tyres here in terms of choice of Michelin tyres for GT Le Mans. The GT Le Mans runners have a choice of what are called confidential tyres and can have up to 3 different compounds and constructions over the weekend. We have on some circuits, Jeremy, seen all 3 being utilised in a session.
Yeah, just to complicate matters for them. It's already a pretty complicated business, and that can certainly make things very, very difficult to make that decision as to which tyres they run. It's also, strategy. Shay talked about the fact that John Yount has qualified another 42 car in this session. That car is not going for any overall championship this season, so it makes sense to get Don Yount some more seat time at the wheel of that car. Also, of course, in terms of the Michelin Endurance Cup, there are no championship points awarded for that. It's just the old system that's been there since the beginning of the Endurance Cup, just 5, 4, 3 for the top 3 and then 2 for everybody else in the class at different points during the race. So for this session now for GTD, the points is just for the overall championship. As we said, the Aston Martin currently trails the BMW by just 7 coming into this weekend, and the points are awarded in this session for GTD on the basis of what used to be the championship order. So 35 for the fastest car, then 32, then 30, then 28, then 26, and then 1 point differential from there on down.
Track temperature just starting to creep up a little bit. 86 Fahrenheit, 30 on the Celsius scale. Air temperature 26 Celsius, 79 Fahrenheit. And no worry about the weather for today. Remember, we'll be back in just a few days' time at Watkins Glen International, Thursday and Friday of the coming week, with practices and qualifying on Thursday, or qualifying on Friday, and races on Friday as well. This is the round to replace Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, which should have been next weekend. Travel issues, of course, border crossing issues at the moment, and IMSA reacting rather elegantly to make sure that we still have our race next week, although not next weekend, but on Thursday and Friday. IMSARadio.com will have the schedule of all of our live broadcasts there, and through the magic of algorithm and trickery of some description, the schedules automatically convert to the time zone on which you have your browser set. Shame you can't see my face now, but it works. I was incredulous when somebody told me that would happen. However, it's worked well for a very long time. Antonio Garcia's gone to the top, Jeremy. 1:45.9, 1:46.6. These guys are still getting up to speed, and at the moment these times look good because they're magenta on the timing screen, which means quickest of everybody. But what sort of time should we be looking for in both the GT Le Mans and the GT Daytona classes? Nine and a half minutes to go.
The pole time for Antonio Garcia 2 years ago in the C7R was a 1:40.799. The fastest lap we've seen so far this weekend, however, this morning was by Conor De Filippi in number 25 BMW, a 1:41.977, so 0.8 of a second away. The benchmark time in GTD, I think, will be that time that was set just in that previous session by Carl Kirkwood. I think he did a 46.5, I think it was, although he did a 46.1 earlier this morning. That he has been the fastest guy so far in GTD this week.
It's Jeremy Shaw. He's with me, John Hindhaugh, in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. Getting down towards halfway through, but remember, if you get across the line, even if the checkered flag comes out a second after you've gone by, you can complete the lap that you're on. Fabulous race victory, their first with the Aston Martin for Heart of Racing team last time out. They crossed the line second, but there's no asterisk. Got to pass post-race tech and have completed the race correctly. They did. The car ahead of them did not. They'll take that W, no doubt about it, and it's been a phenomenal run of form, Jeremy, by Heart of Racing team and that Aston Martin Vantage.
Dating back to last year in this car, John, it's been a fantastic run for the Heart of Racing team. They've had 8 top finishes now in the last 9 races, and given how competitive GTD is, that is pretty remarkable. Equally remarkable, of course, is the fact in the last 9 races in GTD, there's been 7 different manufacturers who've been onto the top step. That does not include Audi, of course, that thought they got the win last time out at Detroit. That was taken away, as you were alluding to there, in post-race tech. But it's wide open in GTD, and the only car that has won twice in the last 9 is the Turner Motorsport BMW. There is, however, one other manufacturer which has won 2 races in that time span. That would be Porsche, with the number 16 car winning at Petit Le Mans at the end of last season at Sebring. Excuse me, not Petit Le Mans, Sebring 12 hours at the end of last year. I'm still getting my head around last year. And of course at Sebring this year was won by the FAF Porsche.
Everybody out on track share. No surprise there now in the current climate.
Well, it's good news because at the last running, we did not have every car out on track for the point session. There was damage for the pole-sitting car for this race. It was the 14 that went into the wall in the first session, could not run in the second session, meaning that they scored no points. There has been a slight amendment to that rule in the book that if force majeure causes you not to run in the points qualifying session, you might then score last place points at the discretion of race control.
Okay.
But you could still be eligible for 0 points. So everybody having gone out, that is good news. But we do have a car back into the pit lane. It is the 1 machine for Paul Miller Racing and their Lamborghini. Something is going on within the engine that they're not happy with. It could be ECU related, but you're not allowed to do any work to the car. When the car comes into the pit lane, you basically can't touch it. If you touch it, you lose all your time. So for Paul Miller Racing, they're currently 10th in GTD, but something bigger going on right now. Not good.
So they could recycle the power in the pit lane of the red, white and black number 1 car, turn it off, turn it on, all 3-fingered salute, but they can't even plug in a laptop or anything like that to see if there's a setting that they could affect you.
You may not touch the car. You cannot open the door. You can't do anything. So Brian right now is sitting on the pit lane, a very, very lightly used set of Michelins. He's only done 2 laps on these tires, so that means that they'll have basically an extra set for the race. But correct, if they touch the car, they would then drop down to last place in the category and potentially be at the ire of race control and lose all points for this qualifying session.
Right, so at the moment they are in 10th position in class at 4 points. Their qualifying was set by the lap time in the previous session. As far as points are concerned in GT Le Mans, it's Corvette number 3 that leads Corvette number 4. First time the C8Rs have been here. There is the almost obligatory 2 3/4 tenths. That's all between the 3 and the 4. Conor De Filippi leads the BMW team RLL charge. He's just a 0.039 of a second behind the vets and half a second in front of his teammate John Edwards in the number 24. So it's 3-4, 24, 25 and then 79. So number order there, I approve. Not quite as clear-cut in GTD, where the top point scorer at the moment is Vassar Sullivan's Lexus, driven by Jack Hawksworth. He's in the pits with the 14 car, and he has got, job done. I was just about to say that, 4/10 of a second between him and Pat Long. Pat Long's not very often 4/10 behind somebody in any kind of qualified session, Jeremy.
No, that was a great lap by Jack Hawksworth there, 1:45.081. That is fractionally quicker than Carl Kirkwood managed this morning. So hats off to Jack Hawksworth there, the Yorkshireman, for getting that job done. And I think it's going to be awfully difficult for anybody to match that. And Jack's done just one flying lap and in for Hawksworth. He loves this place, and the Lexus suits this track as well. It's fast around here. It has a track record here from a couple of years, from 2018 actually. Jack Hawksworth had the lap record here, 1:44.49. The fastest lap in qualifying 2 years ago, when we were last year in 2019, was Trent Hindman in an Acura at 1:44.9. So not quite match that as Jack Hawksworth, but it's still, I think, going to be good enough right now. What's interesting to me is that battle between Patrick Long and Lawrence Vantor, the two Porsche factory drivers. In second and fourth at the moment, split by Patrick Long, by Bill Oblin, and now also by Richard Heimstand. Wow, that's a great lap by Richard in the Audi 4 car barn.
How about Zach Veitch going to second, making it an all Vassar Sullivan front row for the RCFs with a 1:45.3. Just a note on what Jeremy was mentioning there on the RCFs. Dave Alcock tweets at IMSA Radio, watching the Lexus GTD around Watkins Glen, looked smooth and quite serene, going from what I can see from the onboard camera. Don't forget, you can follow along via IMSA.com at the onboard cameras in isolation as well. He says, is this a testament to the track surface, the Lexus, or the Lexus suspension, or the camera mounts? All of the above, Dave, I think. But you're absolutely spot on. That Lexus, they have got a very good balance. They've worked very hard over the last few years to get that car to work without it burning out its rear tyres, which it did have a problem in its early development. Seems to work very nicely with the Michelins, Jeremy, and they've had some very good runs with it in recent times, that RCF.
Yeah, they certainly have, and they're getting a much better handle on that, on the tyre conservation, if you like, than they had initially with that car. It was always fast, and it would kind of burn off the rear tyres, and the team, Vassar Sullivan and Aim Vassar Sullivan before that, have worked, that was a primary point for that team to focus upon, was getting that car to be kinder on its tyres than it was previously. They've done a really good job at that, but it just seems other factors have been getting in the way for that team towards the end of last year and the beginning of this. So perhaps this weekend they can pull it all together for Vassar Sullivan, number first and second at the moment.
Comes into the pit lane after that lap, good enough for second position. Zach Veitch then brings the Bumblebee into the pit lane, talking with the man at the head of Toyota Racing Developments, which also obviously is Lexus, David Wilson, a few weeks ago for Midweek Motorsport, Wednesday afternoon programme on RS1, and he dropped a little hint about some new product coming down the line, which will be the next iteration of GT Daytona car for Lexus. We've already seen the GT4 Supra, and that will be racing later on today in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. But unfinished business is what David said to me as far as GT Daytona is concerned. They've learned a lot of lessons with that RCF and the development of that platform, and they feel they've got something that is very worthy of a GT Daytona. And with the GTD Pro category coming up next year, very exciting developments to come in that category, and Lexus Toyota want to be part of that. Coming down, in fact, checkered flag has just gone out. Andy Lalling and Billy Johnson have both seen it, but it appears to me that the Heart of Racing Aston has got through, which will give the opportunity for Roman De Angelis to do one more lap.
Yeah, which I don't think. I think he's lifted off. He wasn't as quick as he was last time around. He's actually got the purple sector time in sector 1. Had Roman De Angelis on his previous lap, but I don't think he's. I think he's lifted off now. It was a good bit slower through the first sector this time around. So he's fastest in the first sector, which is around about 25 seconds. So it goes through turn 1 to turn 2 up through the S's, and half or a bit more than halfway down the back straight before the inner loop. So an interesting section of track, and it was the Aston Martin was quickest, but it's the Lexus who had the upper hand in the second 2 sectors, purple for Jack Hawksworth.
So the GT Daytona times there will score points for the championship. So Vassar Sullivan, Lexus number 14, will get top points. Their 12 car second place points, Wright Motorsport third, etc. on down. And as far as the GT Le Mans, it's going to be Corvette Racing on first and second position, so they'll look out the front row, with the number 3 car taking taking pole position, in position and points. Then it's second row of BMW and Cooper McNeil, just half a second away from the back of the BMWs.
Yeah, good effort by Cooper.
Very good effort, and great from Corvette. First time here with the new car, Jeremy. Lock out the front row.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, they were super excited to bring that car here for the first time, of course, with no visit to Watkins Glen last season, and this corresponding 6-hour race taking place instead at Road Atlanta. There's a lot of excitement about bringing that car here, but it's still somewhere away from the qualifying lap record that was set by the C7R a couple of years ago.
Antonio Garcia celebrating, just one of the drivers involved for GT Le Mans, where of course it's 2 in the separate sessions for GT Le Mans. A little bit of debrief going on even before the media duties for Antonio Garcia. Well, with a bit of luck now, we should be able to go down to the end of the pit lane and speak to some of the pole sitters. Just waiting for them to take off their helmets and etc. and their safety equipment. How cool, calm and collected did Antonio Garcia look after just hustling, what is it, 1,300 kilo GT Le Mans car, which is, a beast around here. And I don't look as good as that when I've just been, just got out of the shower and got myself sorted, to be honest.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? He's a cool customer, is Antonio Garcia, and that's his 8th pole now in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. In his what this will be his 79th start, and his second in succession. Last time out at Detroit, that wasn't a championship round, so I'm not going to count that for official records or stats. So Antonio Garcia was also on the pole at Sebring, so he'll take this pole position here, and that's be a good day's work for them. And interesting, isn't it, to see two primarily yellow cars are fastest in the 2 GT categories.
Yeah, good point. Let's head down to the end of pit lane. Jack Hawksworth and Kyle Kirkwood are there. See if we can have a word with at least one of them. Oh no, a couple of more pictures first. Don't worry guys, you can get your pictures afterwards. We're actually live to the world, We'll give it another go. Here we go. Still waiting. Yeah, just waiting for the phone to be handed over, and we'll have a quick chat with them. Such are the vagaries of trying to do interviews outside of the pit lane.
Look back at us, right here. Right over here. Flag. Yep, right here. All right. Sit down. Backward. Yeah. Oh. All right, come on over to the backdrop.
Well, looks like we're not going to be able to talk to our pole sitters. They are still too busy with photographs, unfortunately. What a shame. Can already see the prototypes coming into the pit lane. So we'll set ourselves up for prototype qualifying. Shea, any idea of who's going to be qualifying the LMP3s, please?
Oh, let me go back to my notes. Well, this is actually a tricky category because for LMP3, you've got multiple options. You can run either your bronze driver, or if you have a silver who is younger than 30 years old, they can go out for qualifying. So this does mean that we've got a bit of variety as far as options are concerned. That makes things a bit trickier to try and find out. And none of the LMP3 teams got back to me, unfortunately. So no, I don't know.
Okay, let's see if we can pick them off as they get into the cars. Would have thought they'd have been rolling by now, almost. Have we got everybody in the pit lane that we need? I think we have. Can see the DPIs towards pit out. Right, let's take you through the qualifiers then, if we can. Shea Adam is our VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock reporter. So P3, number 2, let's start with United Autosport.
I don't know who that is. I don't know the helmets of many of these LMP3 drivers, unfortunately.
Okay.
But we do have... no, sorry. We've got, I would imagine Jim Cox will be going out for the 91 for Riley Technologies in that car, and Gar Robinson most likely for the 74. So those would be the 2 Riley cars for their qualifying efforts. As far as the category goes this year, we've only had 2 real solo qualifying efforts for LMP3, and it was Rasmus Lind who took the pole position at the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring, and Gar Robinson for Mid-Ohio. Aaron Siegel, I owe so much to. It's George Kurtz who's going to be doing the qualifying duties for Core Autosports. Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate that. Everybody else, we don't know yet. We'll have to wait and find out.
Time's this supposed to start, Shea, this session?
This session is supposed to go green in 25 seconds.
Excellent. Excellent. This is just a straight 15-minute qualifying session. There's nothing else other than what you'll see here. So fastest time goes to pole and will get the points. And waiting for the green flag, which is due in 5 seconds from now. Again, apologies that we couldn't get either of the drivers from the Vassar Sullivan car. They seemed to be too busy down there. Apologies for that, or indeed from the Corvette. We are at the behest of the drivers, of course, and if they don't want to talk to us, we can't force them, I'm afraid. Right, we're on for this 15-minute session. And again, this time we should see the cars going out and staying out. The Michelin tyres here, very robust. And depending on who's in the car, they might want to build up like Jeremy and I would. There are some quicker drivers that could take the qualifying in the 3-driver cars, who might just want to do a warm-up lap and then really go for it. So let's see how this one pans out. 7 cars then, all Ligier GSP 320s from United Autosports, Andretti Autosport. Sorry, United Autosports USA. That USA is important. It's down in Florida. Performance Tech Motorsports, Core Autosport, Riley Motorsport, Dawson Racing, and the second Riley car. Only the Riley concerned with multiple entries this weekend. And the LMP3s, Jeremy, since they were introduced, made a really big hit, not least because of that rather big rumbling V8, which has got even bigger and more rumblier, if that's a word, in this new iteration.
Yeah, that's right. The slightly bigger 5.6 litre engine, VK56, in use this season. A little bit more torque than before, as if it didn't have enough. But it's great. It's good to see 7 cars here. We actually had a total of 9 cars on the entry list. Unfortunately, we lost a couple for various reasons, but it's still, this is definitely a growth area for IMSA right now, and I hope it's not coming at the to the detriment of the Prototype Challenge series, because I think this LMP3 category is really, really good. Overall, it's a very relatively affordable way to get into top-level prototype sports car racing, and I think that's why we're seeing the uptake here with 7 cars at this stage in the season is stout, and within the new entries recently from Andretti Autosport stepping up into this category. We've got Dawson Racing, Ian Dawson and Simon Dawson, his son's team, making its debut this weekend, and also that United Sports USA entry too. So it's definitely a growth area for the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. The only all-silver driver lineup in the field this weekend, so the only team that has to make the really difficult decision to which driver qualifies is indeed the number 2 car for United Autosports USA. Nicholas Cruton, Edouard Carhope and Austin Mccusker, all rated as silvers, but it's the sort of local driver from Glen Head, New York on Long Island. It's Austin Mccusker who won the Prototype Light Championship, the Prototype Challenge Series a couple of years ago, who was going to take the qualifying duties. It was he who was fastest in this car this morning, and he wasn't quickest overall. It was Felipe Fraga in number 74 Riley Motorsports Ligier that was fastest in the practice session, but as a gold-rated driver, Fraga from Brazil is not eligible to take part in this qualifying period.
All right, so let's give you who is out there. It's Mccusker behind the wheel of the United Autosports number 2. Gar Robinson, she correctly predicted in the Riley Motorsports 74. In Performance Tech Motorsports, Dan Goldberg in the 38. In Andretti Autosports number 36, which I now barely read the screen because there's so much sunshine behind the timing screen. Oh dear me, the joys of getting old, really is. That's Jarrett Andretti. For Core Autosport, the 54, shown as George Kurtz behind the wheel of that on timing and scoring. Dawson Racing in the 84 has Theodore Olsen behind the wheel, and Riley Motorsports 91, again Jim Cox. That was a correct prediction from Shea. So those are the 7 drivers who are qualifying in LMP3. Wind them up and let them go with 10 minutes to go. The lap times should start dropping once they get some heat and therefore pressure into the Michelin tyres, and the lap times will start to come down. What's the best time we've seen so far, Jeremy, in LMP3 this week at WGI?
The best lap of the weekend so far was set this morning by Felipe Fraga, the Brazilian, at 1:39.9. He was a full 3/4 of a second clear of Oliver Askew. So it's number 74 car for Riley Motorsports that Fraga set that time, and he's going to be joined this weekend by Scott Andrews and by Gar Robinson, who is going to be qualifying the car this afternoon. So yeah, 1:39.9 is the That's the quickest time so far. I don't expect anybody to get anywhere near that in this qualifying session.
Yeah, good point. So in the number 2 car then, Austin Mccusker, been around a variety of IMSA championships for a wee while now. You might recognise his name coming through towards the end of the lap through the left-hander at turn 10, sets up on the left-hand side of the road to cut across. And across the line, and goes to the top. 1:42.026. Next to the line will be the Andretti Autosport, Jared Andretti behind the wheel. White car on the top, goes across the line and goes to the top. Oh hello, this is going to be a bit of fun. 7/10 the difference between those two at the moment. Jared Andretti with Marco and Oliver Askew this weekend. That is a formidable lineup. Halfway through the session, Jeremy?
Yeah, good lap by Jared Andretti there, sharing of course the car with not only Oliver Askew this weekend, but also Marco Andretti. And I know Marco is excited about joining his cousin this weekend in the car. Remarkably, this will be the first IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship race for Marco. He's done some sports car racing in the past, but that was further back in the old ALMS days, where he drove for his dad's team, for Andretti Autosport. He's excited, and it's a very strong potential driver lineup there with Jarrett, Marco, and Oliver Askew. But good luck there by Austin Mccusker, who goes back to the top in car number 2 for United Autosports USA, the New Yorker, with a 1:41.081. It's quicker than Austin managed this morning. 1:41.6 he did in the practice session this morning. So hats off to Austin Mccusker there. Andretti now within 2/10 of a second, and George Kurtz a really good lap in car number 54 from Core Autosport, just a couple of tenths further back as well in 3rd position, and ahead of Dan Goldberg in the Performance Tech Ligier car number 38.
Just on 6 minutes to go then. Red prototype coming to the line now is the number 38, excuse me, of Dan Goldberg, a Performance Tech car. Let's see if Dan can improve. He's got a 42.7 and he goes down into the 41s. Takes a full second off his time. Doesn't move him up the timing and scoring, but of course it gets him a little closer to the inside of the front row. He's about half a second away from the front row as it stands at the moment. So it's United Autosports number 2, from Andretti Autosports 36, from Core Autosports 54, then the Performance Tech number 38. They're separated by 7/10 of a second, and then there's another 7/10 of a second back to the Dawson Racing car making its debut. New fastest time at the top, Jeremy. So 1:40.404 for Austin Mccusker, and now he pulls nearly 9/10 of a second away. Let's see what the Andretti car can do when that one comes around. The 36 has just gone across the line and did improve, knocked it back to 5/10 of a second. 40.4 plays 40.9 for the front row battle at the moment. 4.5 to go.
Yeah, good luck by Austin Mccusker. Really get on with it there. 1:40.404 is well over a second quicker than he managed this morning. It's a good bit warmer now. We've got the sun is shining now. It wasn't this morning. It was a huge slide for Jared Andretti trying to chase him down.
Yeah, that was in the bus stop and lost the back end of the car, went through the grass, most expensive but quickest grass cutting device you could ever lay your hands off, and with that V8 sounds pretty good as well. So that lap's gone. Now we'll have to clean up the tyres as well. Decent entry in there, but just lost the back end in the middle part. And that wasn't curb induced, Jeremy. That was just leaning on it there. It wasn't as if he took too much curb and unsettled the car. That was literally leaning on the car and trying to take maximum speed through the middle of that inner loop.
I agree. Speed induced is what it was. Just carrying too much speed,
yes.
Into the middle part of the inner loop there, and the car goes for a pretty wild ride. The scenic route he took through the inner loop on that occasion. So yeah, that wouldn't have done the tyres much good. It looks like he's cruising around here now. So that's going to Austin Mccusker, though, still on a good lap. He's just gone. He went purple in the second sector on his last lap. Where is he now? He's heading towards the inner loop. He is not improving on this particular lap, I don't think. It's still a pretty good time through that section. Hats off here to Theodore Olsen, the caliber 84, 21-year-old Norwegian, making his debut in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship this weekend. That team, it was a new car. I gather they hadn't even tested it before they came here. They've tested in a similar car, but not this particular one. So we had some issues to work through yesterday. And for Theodore Olsen to be within a couple of seconds of the fastest time in this session, having a very limited number of laps coming into this qualifying period. I think he'd done less than 20 laps coming into this session. So hats off to Theodore Olsen and that to Dawson Racing Team to be running in the 5th position at the moment, and 1.8 seconds off Mccusker's fastest time.
So we have an Andretti here for Andretti Racing. Shea, where's Marco been this week? Do we know?
Yes. Have you heard of a racetrack called Eldora?
Yes.
Yes, well, Tony Stewart, who started a series this year called SRX, they are racing what are pretty cool race cars on dirt tonight, and Marco is involved with that. So he's going to be racing, turning mostly left with a little bit of right. If you know how to go quickly on dirt, you have to turn right to go left. It's like IROC, except a little bit different and very, very, very entertaining. So Marco's going to be involved in that race tonight, get on an airplane, fly to Watkins Glen. His first laps in the car this weekend will be in warm-up tomorrow morning, but not to worry, because that 36 Andretti Autosport machine was testing here June 7th and 8th. So Marco's got quite a few laps around the track in this car recently, but Jarrett right now, the only Andretti at the track, he's got to uphold that honor for himself, and sharing the car tomorrow also with Oliver Askew. So in terms of an LMP3 machine to keep an eye on, that's definitely going to be one, but hopefully Marco's not doing too much side drifting when he gets in the LMP3 machine.
So Ohio then back to here for Marco, and two very different racetracks, two very different cars over the weekend. The contrast could not be more stark, to be honest, on the dirt and a quarter-mile oval, and then 3.5 miles or thereabouts here.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, John. That couldn't be more different, could he? He did a pretty good account of himself last week. I'm trying to watch those races. It was difficult to watch them, to be honest, but he was going fairly well. They were at Knoxville last weekend, which again is which was on the dirt, and he gave a pretty good of account of himself at some stage during that evening. At least that car, the similarity with this, it has a V8 engine.
Yeah. Oh, I love your optimism, your boyish optimism, Shaw. Very good. It has a wheel at each corner and a steering wheel.
Yes, that's right.
Absolutely right. Checkered flag is out, but Mccusker got through before it came out. The 140.4 that he put in a couple of 3 laps ago is still the top mark at the moment. He did a 40.8 last time around. I think Jared Andretti came in the pits. Yes, he did. So did Core Autosport, the 54, with George Kurtz behind the wheel. Dan Goldberg's still out there. Let me have a look at his split times. No, I don't think he's going to improve. Checkered flag for Jim Cox, put in his fastest lap of 43.2. Checkered flag for Gar Robinson, 43.1. And Dawson Racing, Theodore Olsen's gone through, and there goes Kurtz. Does not improve. That was a slow lap. It was a slow down lap, in fact. So that looks like a pole position for United Autosports USA, Jeremy, I would say.
Indeed, on the debut for United Sports USA LMP3 team. So hats off to them, and also to Austin Mccusker, racing here in his home state from Glen Head, New York, and from a staunch racing family. And Austin has been, for the last several years, been concentrating on a career in sports cars. He's been racing in Europe as well. And he's getting more and more experience, and this will be his first pole position. Just his fourth start in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship for the 2019 IMSA Prototype Challenge champion. But what a good return to this series, and an excellent pole position for Austin Mccusker and this United Autosports USA team.
Yeah, nice start for them. The perfect start, one might say. As the red, white and blue becoming iconic colours, those, aren't they, Jeremy? That colourway for United. It's been like that for a while. I sort of approve of that. It's a bit like a trademark, a driver's helmet, although nowadays they change those every 5 minutes as well, don't they? But it's very good that we've got used down through the last few years to seeing United Autosports in a number of different categories. My goodness, they've dominated prototypes in LMP3 and in LMP2, European champions, ELMS champions in both of those categories, won everything they entered in LMP2 in a difficult year last year, and won Le Mans as well.
I agree, and a fair bit of pressure on Austin here this weekend. You've got two young chargers there, one from Germany, Nicholas Cruton, and Edward Carhook, who's had some success in the Le Mans Cup Series last season. He had 2 wins in LMP3 cars last season, so Austin had to step it up. That's exactly what he did in qualifying.
There you go, man. Congratulations. Thank you.
So Austin Mccusker now out of the car. Let's get the helmet off and have a chat with him. Off comes the helmet, and the hands device on there as well. Hair is perfect. Austin Mccusker just taking out his headset at the moment. Hello, Austin. Hindhoff in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. Hey, congratulations, mate. What a great run. How was that for you?
Okay. I don't hear anything.
Hello, Austin. Can you hear us in the booth? Hello, Austin. Can you hear us in the booth? Hello, Austin, can you hear us? No, well, not getting through that. Unfortunately, technology this time getting the better of us. Still, we gave it a try. But pole position for Austin Mccusker.
All right, where's Jamie at? Right next to me? Look back at this guy.
First of many, I would think that, Jeremy.
Yeah, I think so, John, absolutely right. He'll be absolutely thrilled with that, Will Austin, and the entire family, of course. Dad will be here cheering him on. He did a really nice job. That was a good lap by him to get that pole position. Step one accomplished for him. He's still looking for his first win in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, but you know, he did do the first 2 races of the season at Daytona and Sebring, but now joining this United Autosports team, this is a great opportunity for him and one he'll want to grab with both hands.
Right, so we're left now with the DPIs and the LMP2s. That'll be 12 cars out on the circuit. And that will set the pole for Sunday's race, which we have exclusively live on IMSA Radio, RS2. We're on XM202 as well. And if you're outside the US, we'll have pictures uninterrupted, of course, for you as well. If you are in the US and you want to see the pictures tomorrow, set your DVRs for midnight. NBCSN will have the highlights of the 6 hours on Sunday at midnight, Sunday night into Monday morning. That is, it'd be very good if they could have it Saturday night into Sunday night, and then we could all go put a bet on, because it won't have happened at that point, kind of. So better make that absolutely clear. Big day of sport for NBCSN tomorrow, with Tour de France starting, of course. Oh, one day I'll chase the Tour de France. Not on a push bike, I should hasten to add, on the have to do it on the motorbike, I think. A couple of photojournalist friends of mine who want to do it as well. Drew Gibson being one of them, who's a very good motorsport photographer, and he's happy about getting on the back of the bike. I've got the perfect bike for it already. Big BMW, nice and comfy, all the toys on it. Nice big comfy seat somewhere for the photographer to sit. Yeah, would be perfect. One day, once I've stopped doing motor racing, and we have actually got some time together. Oh, and we can get to France as well. That would be another criteria for that. Right, Shay, what do you know about the prototypes? The teams have been talking to you, I know. You've put their arms up their back, so give us a VP Racing Fuel pit and paddock report on the qualifiers that you know.
Moi? Put their arms up their backs? Surely.
Or did you bribe them with cookies? That's the other...
Well, to be perfectly honest, I did send basically a suitcase full of cookies, but that was just for one team this weekend. Okay, so the teams that have gotten back to me, Ricky Taylor is on qualifying duties for the Konica Minolta Acura, and it has been Acuras that have been quickest so far this weekend. One of the Cadillacs that's trying to dethrone them, though, Tristan Vaudier's helmet, the blue, very distinct, I believe, was the one that I saw in the number 5 for Mustang sampling. Let me think. Who else let me know who was qualifying? I don't think anyone else from the DPI category got back and actually told me ahead of time. I do know that John Ferrano is in the number 8 for Tower Motorsports, because the bronze drivers have to do the qualifying session. There are 2 bronzes for the 11 Win Autosport machine, so I don't know which one of them is going to be doing that. It is Dwight Merriman in the number 18 for Era Motorsport, and thank you very much to Kelly Brule, who did tell me that ahead of time. Jim McGuire is trying to make it a perfect go for United Autosport in the number 22. That is the LMP2 machine. Ben Keating should be on duty for the 52 as well. That is PR1 Matheson leading the championship. Ben Keating looking to try and keep that streak alive. And as the drivers fall into my lap as far as we find out who's going to be in the cars, I'll let you know and keep you updated.
Okay. So very similar colours for the 22 United Autosport to the number 2 that we saw in the previous session. Whelen Cadillac is the bright red number 31. Expect to see that one going very quickly indeed. At least we can have a guess at the times here, Jeremy, because they should have their fastest drivers in here. No requirements to put any particular precious metal graded driver in the prototypes here.
That's right, John, and the fastest lap so far was set this morning by Dane Cameron in the number 60 Mars Shank Racing with Kerbagajanian Acura DPI, 1:30.6 33.451 has been the quickest time so far. Second quickest was the other Acura, Ricky Taylor, at the wheel of that car, kind of a 10, the 130.6. But I would be surprised if we didn't see faster and perhaps even significantly faster times in this qualifying session coming up now. For LMP2, though, there are restrictions there as to who can qualify the car. We can't. It has to be the silver or bronze driver from each of the LMP2 cars that qualifies, rather than necessarily the fastest car in a driver in each of those cars.
Yeah. Another 15-minute session. So everybody coming out the pits. Jimmy Johnson not in the Ally Cadillac. He's sitting in his Civies and he's getting ready to go. Confirm the drivers that have gone out, please, because all 12 cars are out on the track.
Yes, and if I may just do a little bit of a public service announcement for those people trackside right now. Take maybe more than a half a step back from the fences, because the DPI qualifiers alone, yeah, they're rapid. Okay, Renger van de Zande, race winner, the last time out is the qualifier for the 01 Cadillac Chip Ganassi Racing. We've got Tristan Vautier, as previously confirmed, and Ricky Taylor. It is Pipo Derani in the 31 Whelen Engineering Cadillac, and Pipo and Felipe went and got ice cream last night. Now, not giving away any trade secrets, but when I was in Watkins Glen a few weeks ago for a challenge, I saw a driver getting ice cream at night, and the next day he put his car on pole position. So just saying, that might be the secret. Watch Pipo. It's Kamui Kobayashi in the 48 Ally Cadillac, Oliver Jarvis in the 55 Mazda, and Dane Cameron in the fastest car so far this weekend. That is the 60 Meyer-Shank Racing car. So that accuracy. And then in LMP2, we've got John Ferrano is in the number 8 for Tower. We've got Stephen Thomas is the driver in the number 11. That was the other car that we didn't know who the driver was going to be. Stephen is going out in that car looking for his second pole position in a row in LMP2.
And that car having to be rebuilt at the rear end twice in practice. Free practice earlier on today, having made contact with the barrier, the FAF Porsche, then the barrier again. The tail section was looked particularly second hand.
That car back together again now, and it was Dane Cameron at that time, 1 minute 30.4 this morning. The the qualifying lap record was set by Oliver Jarvis 2 years ago in the Mazda 129.6. They had a recurrence of the boost problem this morning during practice. I think they were able to fix it on pit lane, so we'll see what Oliver Jarvis can manage in this qualifying session now as he goes on the first kind of out lap to the top of the charts, but not yet with a representative time, John.
Yeah. So wait to see some of these guys getting up to speed. Taking it very easy early on with the track temperature now up to 33 Celsius. You don't want to put too much energy into the Michelin tyres. That's 91 Fahrenheit on the track. It's been pretty sunny all day. We had a little bit of cloud cover earlier on that gives a little bit of respite to the surface, but it's still quite dark. The top surface here, having only been resurfaced a couple of seasons ago. As soon as you get that UV energy into it, it takes a wee while to cool back down again. 36.0, the best time at the moment by Oliver Jarvis. He's coming round to complete another lap. As I say, building up quite nicely. Comes to the end of the lap. Now Ricky Taylor for a moment was on top. Then Pipo Derani goes through. Down to 31.2, Jeremy, for Pipo. Check that, 31.2 for Ollie Jarvis, who was the third of the 3 cars that went through there. So it's Taylor, Durrani and Jarvis in that order going round the track, but it's Jarvis, Durrani and now Vautier up into third, which is now fourth because Renger van der Zande for Cadillac Chip Ganassi Racing in the 0-1 has just gone through with a 30.990.
Yes, so that's now within a half a second of the quickest time so far today. I'm hearing predictions that the pole time might be around about 1 minute 30 flat, or perhaps slightly underneath it, but not quite down to the track record times. It's being suggested, perhaps because the tyres this year are a little bit more conservative than they were a couple of years ago.
29, will we get a 29? Okay, possibly. Could only wait to find out. In LMP2, Ben Keating continuing his really super run in the LMP2 car. Ben, stalwart of IMSA and sports car racing for some time now, cut his teeth in GT cars. He's at the top of the PR1 Matheson Motorsports LMP2 with a 1:36.8. Ricky Taylor trims another half a second. Hang on a second, what's happened to the time? Have we had a time disallowed there?
Not that I've seen.
Renger did a 30.9. No, we haven't, no. 30.5 for Ricky Taylor is the new best mark, but only till Dane Cameron goes through. 30.1. Jeremy, we're going to see a 29. We are going to see a 1 minute 29 something, aren't we?
I reckon so, yeah, but from whom? That's going to be the interesting thing, isn't it? 130.1, yeah, for Dane. It's certainly good to see the Meyer Shank racing with the Kobayashi Jenny car back up towards the front. They've been struggling the last couple of race weekends, but that has been the car to beat today or this week so far, because it was quickest, I think, in both of the sessions. I think where the times from the second session. Yeah, it was quickest in both sessions. So certainly Dane Cameron will be looking to keep that streak alive in this qualifying period and set himself perfectly up for tomorrow's 6-hour race.
Which you can hear exclusively live here on IMSA Radio or on XM202 if you're in the States. Around the world, IMSARadio.com, sound on RS2, vision on the live video page. Those here in the States, set your recorders of whatever description, however clever they are, for the NBCSN highlights, which will be at midnight on Sunday evening into Monday morning. 6 3/4 minutes to go. The 0-1 of Renger van der Zande. Pole position last time out for that car, although it was his teammate Kevin Magnussen who got it. They turned that and converted that into a victory. Their first of the season and the first since returning to IMSA competition for Cadillac Chip Ganassi Racing. Renger looked like he was trying to make a little bit of room for himself as he went across the line. Oh, he's starting to go across the line. Yeah, he's got a nice gap. The car in front is the Ally Cadillac, Kamui Kobayashi. He's going out of the inner loop, whilst the number 1 is still coming into it. In fact, he's only just getting to the braking area now. The 0-1. The 60 of Dane Cameron is the next car back. And that car's got a decent gap as well. And then about the length of the back straight to the next car, which is the 52. That's the LMP2 provisional pole sitter at the moment. What about Ricky Taylor coming to the end of his lap in the gloss black and blue Acura for Connington Minolta, and goes Jeremy to the top. Oh, 30.022. Oh, come on, man, Ricky, stop teasing us.
Yeah, purple in sector 2 there for Ricky Taylor, and I think probably purple in sector 3 as well. Purple in, yeah, good lap there, very good lap from Ricky Taylor. 1:30.022, so 0.119 quicker than Dane Cameron. Took a slow lap last time around, just cool those Michelin tyres a little bit. And of course, with the LMP2 cars on track as well, and with the gentleman drivers at the wheel of those LMP2 cars, you do have to work a little bit harder to make sure you don't have to pass anybody on your ultimate qualifying lap. Good effort though by Ben Keating. Quickest at the moment by 1.3 seconds over Stephen Thomas. It's a good bounce back for Stephen after his incident this morning, right at the beginning of the qualifying session. Quicker again there by Ben Keating by another 3/4 of a second. So he cements that position. 1:35.5 for Ben Keating. His quickest lap earlier in this actually was actually yesterday, 1:37.7 for Ben, so 35.5, more than 2 seconds quicker.
Yeah, and he's a second ahead of the field. That is a very stout effort from the man from Texas. 4 minutes on the nose to go. Who has got the performance left in their Michelin tyres? Who has got the desire to try and take pole position for the 2021 Sahlen 6 Hours of the Glen? And at the moment, that is in the hands of Konica Minolta. Their Acura number 10. Kamui Kobayashi all the way to the wall through turn 11. Very close indeed. Pipo Derani will be no better than 5th. The red Whelen Engineering Cadillac is back in the pit lane. 3.5 minutes to go. Kobayashi, 2 good sectors but lost it in the final sector. 2 personal best sectors in that last lap. So Kobayashi just has to put a lap together here. Not saying he could get the pole position, but he could certainly improve. The 0-1 pole sitter and race winner last time out, Cadillac Chip Ganassi Racing, will be no better than the inside of row 2. Is that another fastest lap in LMP2 by Keating? It is a 35.322. But Stephen Thomas has improved as well in the rebuilt Win Autosport car. He's down to a 36.1. Still a bit to play for here, Jeremy. People still finding performance in the last 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. And Dwight Merriman also improved in 3rd place in the class for Era Motorsport, the number 18 car, although he's a couple of seconds behind Ben Keating. But certainly interesting to see amongst the Cadillacs there. Pipo Derani only 3rd quickest of the Cadillacs. Renger van der Zande fastest at a 1:30.6, also 1:36. Kobayashi, what a star he is, first time here at Watkins Glen, doing a stellar job for that number 48 team, and to be quicker than the kind of the sister car, Pipo Derani. Both of the Ally Cadillac and the Whelen Engineering car run by the Action Express team. So hats off to Kobayashi there for outpacing Pipo Derani in this qualifying session, as Ricky Taylor brings the number 10 car into the pits. Does Dane Cameron have anything left?
Spin coming out of turn number 9, and
Ben Keating.
Ben is right in the middle of the road in the Wins LMP2 car. He's very sensibly pulled onto the shortcut part of the circuit for the short track, and there's plenty of room there to do a sensible turnaround, so he wasn't facing traffic. Well done. That won't affect his time, of course. Got a minute left if he wants to go again. He might have to, because Stephen Thomas has got that gap back down to 3/10 when it was 1.1 seconds. Then it was trimmed to just under a second, then 7/10. Ben lost that pretty early in the piece, Jeremy, and might have flat spotted those Michelin tyres at turn 9.
Yeah, that's a really good effort by Stephen Thomas there. As you say, he was purple in second sector, I think, wasn't he? And on this next lap, he's gone quicker than his previous personal best in sector 1 as well. So Stephen Thomas really getting to grips with that Win Autosport car number 11. Second at the moment, heading down the hill now through turn 6 and down towards the toe of the boot. Nice tidy exit to turn 6, carrying good speed here.
He's just getting better and better, Jeremy. This is old school qualifying. How long is it? 15 minutes. Okay, it'll be my last lap. That'll be my quickest one. And he needs to...
in sector 2.
Oh my goodness, there's a chance for pole position here for the Win Autosport car. The only DPI still out is Dane Cameron. He needs to find a 10th or thereabouts to snatch pole position away from Konica Minolta and swap the 2 Acuras around on the front row. Keep an eye on the black and blue, because it's still got some carbon on that car, though it's managed to get a few sponsor stickers on the rear end. Through the final corner again, the checkered flag will be out this time. Can he steal away pole position for Win Autosport after yes he has by 0.018 of a second after an untidy final free practice. What a run by Stephen Thomas for Win Autosport. Takes pole position in LMP2 by 0.018 of a second. Not even nowhere near a tenth of a second. 0.018, 18 1,000ths of a second. He worked up to that, Jeremy, just what we were talking about. He clearly knows that he doesn't switch the tyres on straight away. Went about that in a very planned and organised way. Brilliant stuff for Win Autosport and for Stephen Thomas.
Yeah, absolutely right. And he's just, he's only been in the sport for a couple of years, as Stephen Thomas, in anything at all, let alone a prototype car such as an LMP2. He's just learning so much from Thomas Merrill and Tristan Nunez, of course, his longtime driver coach Ross Bentley, who got Stephen into this, got him into this mess, he's taking it super seriously. He'd have been really disappointed with that error this morning, but what a great bounce back. He's found more than 3/4 of a second since this morning practice time for Stephen Thomas, and a very, very hard-earned pole position for him.
Oh, brilliant stuff, and he'll enjoy this cool down lap as he comes back in. Really impressive. Earlier this morning, lost it under braking, hit the barriers on the right hand side going into turn 8, picked up the Pfaff Porsche, new nose, new tail, and then later on lost it at turn 1, didn't even hit the curb, banged the tail up on the left hand side again, broke the rear aerofoil mounts, and that's why there's a bit more carbon on that number 11 Win Autosport car than what we would normally have been seeing. Normally a very bright electric blue colour with the yellow stripes. They've got some tape on it, and they've done a cracking job with that car. Clearly they looked very carefully at the suspension to make sure it was all lined up, and it was. Well done to them. Very well done to them. So we have our pole sitters in prototype to add to the pole sitters in GT Daytona, GT Le Mans and LMP3. And Win Autosport then claim that pole position. Ricky Taylor for Konica Minolta Acura, no stranger to being at the front of the grid, Jeremy Shaw, in that number 10 car down through the years.
No, he's not, is he? He's always been renowned as a top qualifier, as Ricky. This is his 12th pole position in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. The only person ahead of him is James French, I think. So another fine run for him, and he'll be delighted with this one, because he had quite a battle on his hands there with Dane Cameron, both in the same car, of course. So to come away with the pole position, this is his 12th pole. This would actually equal the record for James French. So those two now on the 12 pole positions. Third overall on the list is Nick Tandy on 9. I'm not counting the one he got at Detroit, because that wasn't a championship race. And then Colin Brown and Antonio Garcia with the pole today, both tied for next up on 8 pole positions.
High fives all around in the team, and rightly so as well. Very impressive run by the Wayne Taylor Racing team with that Konica Minolta Acura. They've taken to that new car very, very well. So we have our pole sitters. All that remains then is just one race for these guys tomorrow. It just happens to be for 6 hours. Not finished here as far as our action. We have the Michelin Prototype Challenge to come, so stay tuned for that later on today. I will be back with Michelin Countdown to Green and the whole of the 6 hours, the Sahlen 6 hours of the Glen on Sunday. The only place for live coverage is IMSA Radio, IMSARadio.com. For Shea Adam, our VP, Racing Fuel Pit Lane reporter, Jeremy Shaw was with me, John Hindhaugh in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. Bye-bye for now.